Russia launching overnight drone strikes on Ukraine after battering the country.
Russia fired more than 600 drones at Ukraine.
When wars break out around the world, people ask, where is the UN? Why aren't they stopping this? The United Nations was created after World War II with one goal: to maintain international peace and security. So why does war still rage across the globe? The answer lies in how the UN was designed. Let's explore the 5 major limitations built into its foundation. First, the veto power. The Security Council has 5 permanent members, and each can block any resolution, no matter how many countries support it. This made sense in 1945. The founders knew that without the support of major powers, the UN would be useless. But when these powers disagree, the UN is paralyzed. Syria is a perfect example. Russia and China vetoed over a dozen resolutions, preventing UN action as hundreds of thousands of people died. Why? Russia is allied with the Syrian government. The pattern repeats everywhere. The US vetoes resolutions on Israel. Russia blocks action on Ukraine. China protects its interests. The veto isn't a bug, it's a feature that paralyzes the system. The second limitation: the UN has no army of its own. Those blue helmets? Borrowed soldiers. The UN must ask countries for troops, and countries can say no, withdraw any time, or restrict what their soldiers can do. In Rwanda, 1994, a small UN force watched genocide unfold because their rules were too restrictive, and member states refused reinforcements. Around 800,000 people died in just 100 days. The UN can only use force when the Security Council authorizes it, and even then, it depends on countries volunteering to fight. Third, the sovereignty problem. The UN Charter says the organization must respect national independence. It can't force countries to do anything. Think of it like trying to stop a fight between neighbors when you can't enter either house. That's the UN's dilemma. Even when the UN passes resolutions or sanctions, enforcement is nearly impossible. Russia faces massive sanctions over Ukraine, but still trades with sympathetic nations. North Korea has been sanctioned for decades and continues developing nuclear weapons. The UN has no global police force. It can't arrest leaders or seize assets without member cooperation. International law sounds impressive until you realize there is no way to enforce it against powerful states. Fourth, countries act in their own interests. When deciding whether to stop a war, nations calculate their economic interests, security needs, and domestic politics. National interest usually wins. This creates inconsistency. The world intervened in Libya, but not Yemen. Massive attention went to Ukraine, but far less to Ethiopia. Decisions depend less on conflict severity and more on geopolitical calculations. Fifth, limited resources. The entire UN system runs on about $50 billion annually. The US defense budget alone is over $800 billion. Peacekeeping missions are chronically underfunded, and member states owe billions in unpaid dues. The UN simply doesn't have the resources to be everywhere. So, is the UN useless? No. It prevents and ends some conflicts through diplomacy. It provides humanitarian aid to millions. It has brokered peace deals in Mozambique, Cambodia, El Salvador, and elsewhere. But the UN is what it was designed to be: a meeting place for nations, not a world government, a forum for cooperation, not an enforcer. When people ask why the UN can't stop wars, the answer is simple. It was never designed to have that power. The countries that created it made sure of that.